Welcome into DC On Screen episode 412. Oh my gosh. This is our DCEU news. We haven't been around in a couple of weeks. Last week we literally had like 3 stories. And we decided to call it off. But we have a kind of a full plate this time. I'm your host, David C. Robertson. This, my co-host, Jason Goss.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Well, I was meant to ask you, like, I kind of wish real news outlets did what we do. And if there's not enough going on, just say like, well, screw it, peace, we'll see you later. Like, how refreshing would that be if you turned on what is supposed to be a 1-hour news program at 5 o'clock, and like 15 minutes in, they go, there's really not a lot happening. We'd have to stretch it. We can get some opinions from people who don't matter if you want to, but that's all the news there really was. We'll see y'all later. And then there's 45 minutes of blank screen, punctuated with commercials.
Right.
I would kind of prefer that world.
I don't think I do. I don't think I want that.
I think I do. I think I'd like to, just the lack of talking heads and fear-mongering alone, I think would be worth it.
Right. Okay. So, do you have anything of note happen in the last couple of weeks?
Not that I know of. It's been pretty down to earth.
Yeah. I had a pretty rough day a couple weeks ago, I guess. It was like pouring rain here, and I had to like go get a ticket taken care of. Essentially, I had to go like find a police officer and have him like sign off on the fact that my headlights worked.
Right.
That's when my headlights went out
while
it was raining.
Take it to the courthouse, the whole thing.
Yeah, so I had to do all that, and then I'm driving to go see my girlfriend. I'm driving on the interstate, and I blow a tire. And I blow a tire in the pouring rain. So then the spare was clearly only getting me to the next town. Mm-hmm. And that was this little place called Clanton, Alabama. Mm-hmm. The population is like 9,000 people, 3 teeth. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like they share the 3 teeth.
Well, they have, that is the town where there's approximately 17 peaches per person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I go into Clanton, and I found this little place where they sold used tires almost right off the interstate. And I'm standing there, and I'm watching them put the tire on. And I've had just a hell of a day. And there's no dress code at this place.
I gotta say, like, blowing out a tire while it's already storming is a scary enough thing that's a full day by itself. It's just a frightening experience.
And there's no dress code at this place. The employees are wearing jeans and t-shirts, and so am I. Sure. And this lady, I'm standing out there talking to the guy as he's putting the tire on, and this lady pulls up, and as, often happens, because I suppose I'm generally the tallest guy in the room, I'm like 6'3" or 6'4", she asks me, excuse me, sir, is this where I park? Now, what I said in my head was, oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't work here. Mm-hmm. But what I actually said was, oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm not real. And she just gives me this stare and then looks over at the guy next to me. She's like, is she effing kidding me? And God bless him. He was pretty nice about it. He's like, actually, ma'am, I just met this gentleman, but what I think he meant to say is I don't work here.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the one.
That's Forgive me if I like the impromptu version better. But, I think that's what I was going for in jest.
Yeah.
In general.
But it was a weird thing. So now I've got like 3 city tires and 1 like all-terrain tire.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun.
So I've been having a lot of fun driving like 1/4 of the truck and, off the road.
Mm-hmm. You got 1 tire making fun of the other tires.
All right.
Oh, speaking of tires, and somehow this does relate in my head, I should mention that my wife finally got out of the boot. She's no longer on her wide receiver scooter, and the boot has been graduated to a foot.
Congratulations, man.
Pretty cool. Yeah, the major advantage is she can drive herself now.
That is good.
That's big. That is big, because we did not go to work at the same time. I mean, it's only like an hour and a half maybe difference at worst. Mm-hmm. But the morning is the single worst time to convince me that an hour is not worth it. Like, time means the most to me just before my alarm goes off. That's the maximum that I care about my time in the day.
Right.
So yeah, this is huge.
Good on you, man.
Thank you.
It's a big step.
I'm very proud.
I'm talking about it like you guys are pregnant.
Yeah, we're pregnant with another car that we can suddenly park here again.
Yeah.
But if you've just been watching my house from afar and haven't seen us come in and out, it just looks like my wife left me because there just has been one car here for like weeks now. So I'm sure there were a couple of people that drove by and went, bless their hearts.
Then one person pulls out money and starts handing it to the other person.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know why.
We would never condone gambling.
So I guess we should jump into the news?
Yeah, why not? Our news is boring enough. Let's do some actual DC news. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is technically DC news right off the bat, but I feel it's pertinent. It's sad news. Stan Lee's wife died.
Oh, I did see that. That is sad news.
Yeah.
The Marvel Muse, they called her?
Yeah.
I mean, it is. It is DC news in a way, though. They especially in those years, they worked with each other in such an incestuous way, and they pushed each other so hard that I don't think the two might. Yeah. There's an argument that the two might have not have survived without both of them. That just one of them might not have made it.
Well, Stan Lee actually says that he was going to quit Marvel. He was going to quit before they were Marvel, and that his wife said, "Well, why don't you just before you quit, why don't you write one comic you are proud of?"
Yeah,
and then he wrote Fantastic Four, and without Marvel, I don't feel like DC DC may not have existed, or at least in the same way existed, and
they all evolved together. Like all those writers back in the day, all those comics, the artists. I mean, they all knew each other. They knew each other's work pretty intimately. Like this wasn't a big group of unknowns that never talked to each other. I mean, people would go run one of the companies for years and come back and run the other company and stuff. It was just such a close knit industry, I'll say.
Yeah.
And they drove off each other, and it was so nice to have enough of it happen at once and enough product out, because this was pulp. You remember? I mean, it was literally the crappiest piece of paper you could print something on at one point. Just to have enough product out in volume that you could find a few of these things that really like touched everybody's heartstrings or mind strings or whatever strings they needed. It was my suspicion is you needed both.
Yeah, absolutely. And they actually saw a couple of outlets, and I don't know if it was before or after, but they kind of ill-advisedly put up and then left up some articles about Stan Lee bashing DC back in the 70s. And, you look at the interview, he's clearly tongue-in-cheek. He's saying, stuff like, well, DC, those guys, bless their hearts, they're so miserable and downtrodden over there.
Just sitting around with several of the most popular fictional characters in the world.
Yeah.
God, hope they get off their knees, the poor kids.
And he's like, they're trying to figure out why we're outselling them. And, well, for a while they came up with this idea that we always have red in the cover, so they put red all over their cover. Well, of course, we took all of the red out of our covers. And then they said, well, no, it's because they have word balloons in the covers. And so we took all of the word balloons, and we still outsold them. And, of course, he's kind of like, he's a salesman. He's a great salesman, Stan Lee. He was always that guy.
Fantastic. Charismatic guy to the team.
But even if you do subscribe to the notion that DC is a darker entity, I mean, you can't have the sunshine without the Saturnine. You know what I mean? I think that's philosophically sound.
That's fair.
But anyway, Marvel put out a statement about Joan. We are so saddened to hear about the loss of Joan Lee. And they put out this statement on Instagram, which is weird to me that this would be an official thing for anybody to use. But whatever, I'm an old guy. We lost a member of the Marvel family today, and our thoughts and prayers go out to Stan and his daughter Joan in this difficult time. And DC Entertainment President Diane Nelson came out and said, of all the great stories Stan Lee has to tell, the most touching of all is the day he met Joan, the British model who would become his future wife. Instantly smitten, Stan proposed the first day of their meeting, beginning a beautiful, enviable life together for nearly 7 decades. Everyone at DC is truly saddened to hear of the passing of Joan Lee, and our hearts go out to Stan and his family at this time of loss. So, apparently she had a stroke earlier this week and was hospitalized.
Complications.
And passed away. It's just sad.
Yeah. Hey, what's amazing is as much crap as some people give the comics industry in general for being like, it's just too unbelievable. I don't get it. If I told you that someone was married for 70 plus years happily and they proposed the first time they ever met each other, I think you'd probably give me more crap than a story about Darkseid.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Stan told the story often.
If I was a writer and I turned that in, they'd be like, that is absolute crap. There's no way that happens in the real world. Here you go. Do a rewrite.
Anyway, moving on. Over to some proper DCEU news. Warner Brothers have announced their plans, their big Hall H plans for Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con. And
if anyone ever just says Comic-Con, assume SD.
Yeah, well, you know.
Just to be safe, just assume.
So it's going to be on Saturday, July 22nd. It's going to start at 11:30 a.m. with Chris Hardwick acting as Master of Ceremonies. We're going to have Justice League stars Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller, and Ray Fisher. And they're promising a first look at James Wan's Aquaman movie. Now, Jonathan Lynette, longtime listener, friend of the show, leaves us a message on Facebook saying, do you expect WB/DC Films will only feature Justice League and Aquaman at Comic-Con, or do you think they'll surprise us with additional news, i.e. Flash director release dates, etc.? I suspect we may get something else. Maybe another trailer for Justice League, maybe an actress for Batgirl. I doubt that one very much.
Heavily.
I think
my money's
more
a little bit on the first thing.
I'm thinking the most likely thing is going to be another Justice League trailer,
or a 2 minute sneak peek,
and a couple of announcements for Gotham City Sirens.
That might be the case. I'm very much torn. Like, my first instinct is just to say, grab a coin, dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they like having something big. They like telling you they're going to have X and X, and then here's Y. And that's part of the point of this convention is, you know, dropping the bomb on some people and getting the crowd reaction and the viral video and all that stuff. So I get that that's what they want to do, but like, the thing that tears me is, you know, you can't really. Do you want to take the chance and announce a new Flash director after you've been through about half a dozen? I mean,
yeah.
Maybe they officially announce Wonder Woman 2, something like that. That's pretty steady. You can count on. But even then, everyone would be like, do you think if you announced it to a Comic-Con crowd that, oh, we're going to have Wonder Woman 2, these people are in the know enough that I think the crowd reaction would be, yeah, and?
Well, there was a leak, there was a leak that was not, it's probably fake, who knows, it was on Reddit, but it's a Batgirl leak, and we'll talk about it a little later, but they were saying that they were actively trying to have Batgirl, the actress for Batgirl, locked down by Comic-Con. That being said, a couple of weeks ago, there was that Amazon listing for the Harley Quinn calendar that had the Gotham City Sirens listing. These things don't just pop into existence. That was pretty. That was a pretty detailed and well-written synopsis for that calendar, but it should be noted that that has been changed now on Amazon to just a generic Suicide Squad Harley Quinn synopsis.
Yeah, pretty much a hype
or description. I wouldn't be surprised if they brought out a Batgirl actress. I wouldn't be surprised if they announced an actress for Catwoman and Black Canary.
Yeah,
I really wouldn't.
Would. I mean, but like I said, we'll get to it. But the Batgirl casting may not necessarily be a part of it yet.
Yeah,
there is reason to believe maybe that was in the water, and we might be fishing it out soon. But I wouldn't count on. I would not know where to count on anything right now. My serious money, if you made me bet, I wouldn't bet like to use roulette. I wouldn't put anything on 1 through 32. I would just be betting on red or black right now, and just to pick one of the slightly less than 50% chances of winning, man, I'd have to go with Justice League new trailer or 2 minute sneak peek or something.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they've got 2 minutes of that film so ready that they're not even considering it for reshoots.
Yeah. What we have already is pretty great. So
yeah.
Popping over to Wonder Woman news. He's still killing it at the box office. J. Scott St Clair and Rob Rivera both had comments on Facebook. J. Scott says, "How about Wonder Woman's legs? The film's ability to remain in the top 5 at the box office, even well over a month after release. I mean, winky face." And Rob Rivera says, "How about them legs? Winky face."
To be sure, that is an industry term, guys. Give them a break.
Yep. The winky face. They I think they forego their break.
It's just a nod.
Yeah. So, Wonder Woman's killing it. Domestically, has beaten Deadpool, has beaten Suicide Squad, 368.7 million, almost 368.8. Worldwide, 745.7 million. So, goodness gracious, guys.
Yeah.
It does indeed have legs.
No, that is Scrooge McDuck money.
I saw a headline that said something to the effect of Spider-Man: Homecoming released in theaters. Wonder Woman ignores him.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
something like that.
Based on my viewing of Spider-Man and the fact that just this is anecdotal. I mean, this is one theater in just one place in America. But the viewing I had of Spider-Man, I literally had to crunch down between two people. It's the fullest I've ever seen my home theater on a Thursday night, like 7 o'clock viewing. I literally had to hunker down between two people I didn't know, and just like it was like two guys, and like they were being weird about touching each other and stuff, and you're trying not to invade their personal space. Like I watched it in like a crunched formation in the middle of the theater seat. I actually put my popcorn on the ground because I didn't have anywhere else to hold it.
Yeah.
But based on that, I think it's going to have great returns. But seriously, for Wonder Woman to stay in the game that long is, I'm sure we could hit up a couple of websites and maybe crunch the numbers on it, but it's bordering on historical. That's a long run.
It's gotten some. It has legs. It's good.
Yeah.
It's like the number 2 origin story superhero movie.
Yeah.
Number 10 on comic book adaptation. I mean, number 5 on action heroine, though.
It might catch up on a lot of that, though.
Because of
one of the reasons it's going to make so much money, banks worth of money, like wholesale Brinks trucks, is it had so much demographic appeal. I mean, as a marketing person, you'd look at this film and think, oh man, this is going to be the easiest job I've ever had.
Yeah. Well, because of the profits so far, DCEU has officially crossed $3 billion.
I believe it. They were probably hoping to do that in the 3 films, but hey, sorry guys.
Yeah, 4 films. Sorry.
It's not quite going to
happen. So yeah. Anywho, moving on. Boom. So last week we talked about Patty Jenkins. She was at a Q&A at Women in Film screening of Wonder Woman, and she had said, I had an epiphany about Wonder Woman 2. I was like, you don't have to do this. It doesn't have to be a foregone conclusion that you do Wonder Woman 2. But then, as I was falling asleep, I had an epiphany. I was like, wait a minute, you have the greatest character of all time that you love dearly, with a cast that you love sitting at the palm of your hand. At this day and age, you can do whatever you want with them. Are you crazy? And then I suddenly realized, it's not more, it's another movie. It's its own movie, and it's got to be great. So, a lot of people took that as an official confirmation that she was coming back. She did set the record straight on Twitter, said, hey y'all, thanks for the excitement, but that was not a confirmation, just talking about ideas and hopes, but still excited and hopeful. Winky face. Now, I'm not comfortable with all this winky face.
In this case, the winky face is very clearly that made a bank. We all know we're coming back.
Yeah.
And Patty Jenkins, in particular, you think is going to be immediately attached to it, right? There's no way they don't go to her first with at least right of first refusal.
Well, the bigwigs have said that she's actively writing the thing with Jeff Johns.
That can't be bad.
Now, Screen Rant, as of today, Screen Rant, this is on Monday night, July 10th. A Screen Rant is saying that they said, I'll actually read it directly from the article. According to production details, Screen Rant has learned, so no source.
No.
The story of Wonder Woman 2 will be another historical adventure prior to the modern day DCEU. Set during the 1980s, the film will send Diana against the forces of Soviet Union in the closing days of the Cold War. And they also say that Steve Trevor's going to be back somehow. And this isn't real news, though. This is a rumor. There's no evidence of this. Like, I've already seen like a lot of people reporting that it's true. It is absolutely not confirmed in any capacity.
There's a lot of that going around these last couple of weeks.
It is a slow news week. It's been a slow fortnight. So I wouldn't start getting upset about undercutting the Steve Trevor sacrifice yet. And also, I don't want to see espionage in Moscow. I really hope they're just throwing it away if they don't do World War II in WW2. You know? They're just throwing it away.
Yeah, and it would be an escalation of her character. Like, the Cold War was, by its nature, cold. It was, there was increased tension, but not a lot of provocative events. Whereas with World War II, you've got so much, obviously, provocative events, and it would have the nice side effect of, like, taking her struggle about how man isn't just a product of, you know, the will of Ares' dark influences. No, we're messed up by ourselves sometimes. It would be a really cool way to expand that part of her story and see her kind of get over that. And I mean, she got over it in the climax, but to see her really deal with it in like full form, I can totally deal with that movie.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, I personally don't really want to see Wonder Woman : The Americans. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. Though I guess Kerry Russell did play Wonder Woman at some point.
World War II was one of the last things that is historically, and you know, give history what it is. It's improvised, or it's written by the victors, and it's capable of being interpreted by whoever's writing the history text. But it was one of the last times that a lot of people regarded something as a good war, insofar as that phrase can exist. But there was a more clear villain in that one than there has been in a while. I mean, so that would be, I think, the last, to me, I think historically the last good context to really do like black and white for her before it all gets a little muddy, and it is almost getting nationalistic. Like, you can do a citizen of the world thing with her with that war because it was so obviously, you know, terrible.
Yeah. I almost see a Cold War movie, if they're going to do one. I think it should almost be like Wonder Woman 3.
That would be fun. I think you'd need the middle ground to almost set it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do agree. Wonder Woman 3, that wouldn't bother me at all. But Wonder Woman 2, I'd feel like we skipped a step.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think I'd agree with you there.
Maybe they should just do like Wonder Woman 2, World War II. Wonder Woman 3, Korea. Wonder Woman 4, Vietnam.
Oh, that's what I was about to say. Is like, I wonder if they just did Wonder Woman 2, Vietnam, and see how many people you hemorrhage from the first movie.
Yeah.
What has that been? 45 years? It's still extremely controversial.
Wonder Woman 5, Gulf War.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, a new picture of Batman has been released by Zack Snyder on Vero. It's a badass picture of Batman. I don't know what to tell you. It looks really cool. It's gonna be our show art.
Gotcha.
Looks good. He's all in shadow though, so I don't know if it's like proper Ben Affleck or if it's like stunt double, but looks good.
Still probably proper Batman.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Ben Affleck's just the guy that says words.
Yeah.
The stunt guy is Batman.
I mean, yeah. You don't need him for everything, and there's a reason. I mean, yeah, you need his jawline for certain shots, but...
Yeah. So, the Michael Ball show on BBC, I don't know how to say his name.
We never do. Just give it a shot.
Kieran Hines?
Okay.
The guy that's playing Steppenwolf.
Okay.
He was saying that... he said, I didn't even have a costume when I was doing Justice League. It's all done in motion capture. They stick a helmet on your head. They put 2 cameras around and they capture all your expressions, facial expressions. So basically they're going to concoct some kind of construction and they will use my facial expressions, eyes, mouth, voice. They'll turn into this murderous, avenging Steppenwolf from the planet Apocalypse, apparently, who's bent on hell on Earth.
That's pretty common.
He had no interaction.
It's just a standard procedure, to be honest.
He had no interaction with the other Justice League actors. He said, I don't know whether they're all afraid to come and meet me. No, they weren't really, because it's imaginary. You do it with green screens. That was another challenge, you could say. Yeah, but it was quite fun, and they're very encouraging in what you do, suggesting, over here, look over here, imagine that, do this here. They're coming at you now. Now, there was a first, they've released pictures, with Comic-Con coming up. They've released pictures of some new Justice League, figures, and, we have our first look at Steppenwolf. He does not, people are freaking out because he doesn't look like the creature in the Communion scene. He looks sort of like a Klingon mixed with Silver Samurai from X-Men.
Is there some hint, though, that in that scene he's kind of, I don't know, born to some extent?
What, in Communion?
Yeah, that he's almost kind of youngish.
No. I wouldn't think he was being born or something.
Maybe not like actually being born, but that he was, I don't know, is there like an aging process here for him, maybe?
I don't think that we've ever gotten like complete confirmation that it was Steppenwolf anyway.
No, I'm fairly certain you're right that it is mostly just an assumption based on those weird horns.
Yeah.
Like the weird...
And if it was him, it clearly wasn't like an in-person representation.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just like,
opposed.
It was just his online avatar.
Yeah.
Like that was Steppenwolf's version of like the doe-eyed snap filter with duck lips.
But angry. Hot angry.
And then you meet the girl and you go, that's not what, you don't look like that. He's just Steppenwolf. You want to look much more fierce.
Yeah. And growing up on Apocalypse would do that to a person.
Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. So, moving over to Aquaman. This is not really too much news, but it was fun. Amber Heard's been pretty busy on Instagram posting pictures from the Aquaman set. There's one featuring her insane red Mara hair. I friggin' love it. She's sitting with Jason Momoa and director James Wan. And then there's another of her training. She's scaling one of those like climbing walls, and the caption is "Mara, Mara on the wall." And I love a good pun. Mm-hmm. And I just had to bring that up because it made me happy.
Yeah, that's nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that.
So Matt Reeves was talking about Batman with Fandango, and they were asking him about the Apes trilogy and about Batman. He says, "I have ideas about an arc. But really, the important thing is just to start. You have to start with one. You have to start with a story that begins something. And I would be lying if I could tell you that the arcs of Apes was already planned out, because it simply wasn't. It's one of those things where that character was so potent and the possibility was embedded from the beginning. But exactly how you've got from A to Z is not something that existed. In fact, when I came in on Dawn, the story that I wanted to tell was different from the story that they had even presented me. And so there are these broad ideas, I think, that sort of came to mind as Rise was created for how that story could be told, but they weren't explicitly laid out. And when Mark and I began Dawn, we knew what our goals were, but we didn't know how we were going to get there. And I would say that more relates to the way that I see a Batman story, is a kind of ambition for a series of stories, but really the most important thing is going to be to tell a vital first story. And that is to say, all of these people who are using this as an excuse to throw out a headline that says, Matt Reeves has a trilogy in mind. That's not what he's saying, dude. He's saying he's got vague ideas, but he wants to tell a good first story, so leave him the hell alone. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, but that's the same. Like this is another one of those cases of like this is so regular that it's almost comical that people find an entire article they can write about it. Like when you're trying to portray such an in-depth character, you want to do it to the point where you think you could tell the whole lifetime of the stories. Like that's the whole point.
Sure.
So saying that you might have a story arc in there. Yeah, of course you should probably have a story arc in there. You should know that you've created a character so full that it could go somewhere after you're done with it. Yeah. All he's guaranteed us is that Batman doesn't die at the end of his film.
You're right.
That's the only news we've got.
Actually, no, that's not right, because he could become Nightwing anytime.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there could be a transition character and everything. But if anything, he's hinted more strongly at the fact that Batfleck is still an ongoing part of the universe than he has anything else. That the rest of that's not news.
I don't know.
I love that he's thinking ahead, and that makes me confident in the director that he's trying to see it so thoroughly. And I even like the Apes. Compare and contrast, but that's just how these things work. It's really, that part's pretty straightforward.
Sure. So moving on over to Green Lantern Corps, there's a Den of Geek is reporting that actually the guy that directed Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Rupert Wyatt, is apparently going to be the guy that directs Green Lantern Corps. It would be time because it's still on the schedule for summer 2020, would be the time to start bringing out that director and letting that guy be announced and getting us used to the idea. And
start making some choices.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's
finished filming by mid-19 at least. So that's 2 years from now. It's it's a big budget film.
Yeah. So maybe that's real, maybe that's not. It is a rumor at this point. As is this. This is an interesting thing. Eiza Gonzalez, and I think that's how you say her name. Again, we don't know things. She appears to be teasing something. She's in a it looks like a Catwoman costume. It really does. It's like a skin tight cat suit. It looks exactly like Catwoman's uniform. She's teasing this thing on social media. And rumors had circulated back in December of 2016 that she was being courted for the role of Catwoman. And then, of course, it was discovered that she was following and was being followed by both DC Entertainment President Jeff Johns and Gotham City Sirens director David Ayer. And ever since then, she's been followed by several other people, creative forces inside the DCEU.
I hate including, to admit that's become slightly reliable, but it has.
Including Patty Jenkins and including Joss freaking Whedon. She's only 27 years old, but she looks the part, so
I mean that's a lot of this in one hand. On the other hand, people have done less or more just to mess with people on an account.
Yeah,
so
they absolutely have, but Gotham City Sirens is still scheduled. Well, I guess it's not really necessarily scheduled, but it looks like they're probably going to try to get it out relatively soon. If they're fast-tracking it... God, if they're fast-tracking it, I feel bad for David Ayer. This is like the second time they're like shoving something down his throat and be like, get it done quick, you bastard.
Did we tell you that... Oh my God, we didn't tell you. Oh, your film was green-lighted like 4 months ago. Did we not... We didn't leave you a message. That is... I'm so sorry. Anyway, you start filming in 3 weeks, and we need 2 weeks to preview the script so you can have notes.
Well, the weird thing is like right after Suicide Squad, they were talking about this. Right after. And we haven't heard much about it. I think they're just keeping it under wraps. That's why I keep thinking that some kind of big Gotham City Sirens thing is going to come out at Comic-Con. Because they announced that Gotham City Sirens was happening last year. We're almost back. We're almost a year from when Suicide Squad came out at this point. It's weird. It doesn't feel like it. But
it doesn't. And you're right. I also imagine it a little bit like. To me, it feels a little bit like a stand-up performance where like the first 3 or 4 jokes don't hit exactly, but then you finally get one that hits, and now you're willing to kind of step on. Like you lose your confidence, and now you're like, oh, that hit. We're fine. I could see it being more like that, where like they just got so many hits coming into it that now they finally got Wonder Woman, and they're willing to get back in there.
Yeah.
So it just wouldn't surprise me if they went a little quiet on that just to make sure they had a better plan.
Oh, yeah.
As far as critical success. Now, I don't mean financial success. The movies went over gangbusters as far as money, but every as much as they don't want to admit it, they do want critical success to some extent.
Sure. Now, we've discussed this briefly before. There is a woman who plays a character named Lagertha on a show called Vikings. I've never seen the show. She looks the part. Catherine Winnick.
It's so weird, though, to hear about like shows being received well from the History Channel. Like, that's not supposed to be new content. You're supposed to just show me grainy footage of things and comment over it. That's what I grew up with.
Catherine Winnick, as long as we've been doing the show, she's been talking about this since 2013, 2 years before we did the show. She wants to play Black Canary in the DC movies. And that has not been at all confirmed, but on her Instagram story, she mentioned that she was involved she had a session for a top secret project that was going to be announced at San Diego Comic-Con. And of course, the DCEU people are freaking out, because all the fans are freaking out because they think that it's going to be a Black Canary announcement. I don't know her work, but she looks like a badass, an attractive badass. So, and we see what that's gotten us with Gal Gadot. So,
yeah.
I don't know her acting skills, though. I couldn't tell you. I don't watch Vikings.
Yeah, never been on my radar. Obviously I've heard about it, but it never gotten to my queue.
Yeah, but that might be a thing.
It's another thing in the pile of, hey, maybe it's a Sirens announcement that we're going to get surprised with.
It's a mention. Mm-hmm. Speaking of just random rumors that have come up in the last couple weeks.
Because that feels like all we're doing this week.
Yeah, it does. It really does, but that's what's happening. I figure it's worth talking about at least.
It's before STCC. We're like, there's a little bit of gropage.
Yeah. So there's a guy on Reddit, and he said he had a short list of actresses that were up for the role of Batgirl in the Joss Whedon Batgirl movie. Now, this is a dude, again, on Reddit, and his name was DCEU Throwaway 89.
The 89th he says time he's tried to start something.
Yeah. He says, a friend of mine was recently contacted by WB to work on concept art for the upcoming Batgirl film. WB wants to get an actress signed by SDCC so they can make a surprise announcement on stage during their presentation. I spoke with him a couple of days ago, and he said that these are the actresses he was asked to develop concept art for. Elle Fanning from Neon Demon and Live by Night, which, sister of Dakota, fantastic actress. I'm absolutely on board if that's the case. Olivia Cook of Bates Motel. It should be known. I think it was last year, she wore a bat symbol shirt to Comic-Con, so that wins me over right away.
Yeah.
Bella Thorne from Shake It Up. I don't know her. Katherine Langford, which apparently is the front runner according to this guy. She's from the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why, which has been just blown up.
Oh no, I do remember that.
I don't know her though. I haven't seen it.
I never saw her. I mean, she looks fine in the one trailer I saw, but I saw the trailer for it and thought, oh, that's too sad. I don't want to do that with my evening. I know that sounds like cheap to me, but it looked really like emotionally draining. And I was like, I'm sure that's good. I don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm. Margaret Qualley from The Leftovers, who I'm familiar with, but I don't necessarily see as a Barbara Gordon type, and they're actors. I'm sure that she could pull it off, but she just doesn't look the part at all to me, and I can't imagine her being the character necessarily, but, again, I might be wrong. Jane Levy from Don't Breathe, I'm not familiar with her, but she really looks the part. Emma Roberts, who I like, from Scream Queens, and several other things. She's actually really good. Julia's niece. And Haley...
You can see it, can't you?
Yeah. Haley Lou Richardson from Split and Edge of 17. I don't necessarily see her physically as Barbara, but she was really good in Split, so thumbs up there. And Naomi Scott from Power Rangers. I say leave the stench of the Power Rangers off of Batgirl completely.
I don't know. Maybe it's good for Naomi to jump ship and go. I still intend to watch it. I just have to, but it never crossed my mind that I was going to see that in theaters. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested in seeing about half of these people play Batgirl, and I think all of them except for probably Emma Roberts and Elle Fanning fit Whedon's concept of not being really known. But I don't know.
Well, that's actually, that's not even Whedon's. It's Marvel's mastered that class of finding an actor who's good enough that he's there, or she's there, sorry. Mm-hmm. But just on the cusp of being something big and giving it a big role, and they've actually had a great success in giving that person a role that was really well suited for them. I mean, like, even go back as far as RDJ, he wasn't. I mean, he was in the middle of a lull. He had been in the middle of a lull for years.
Yeah.
They give him that. Chris Evans, same thing. Pulled him out of nowhere. ScarJo is maybe the exception here.
Yeah.
But
maybe.
Yeah, it's been a popular thing, and one of the reasons it's popular is you can give somebody who's not on top of the world less money each time.
Yeah.
And a contract that doesn't depend on them, getting guaranteed money and getting back-end money or something like that.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot to be said about, RDJ. He had a lot of clout from earlier before he was, he had to take out time from the drugs and get clean again and all.
Well, that was the fun part about him, is he had all the clout he needed to be exactly right for that role.
Yeah.
And I've heard Favreau say this, though, like him casting RDJ was like, once he did that, everything else was done.
Yeah, but as far as ScarJo though, she was on the uptick, but I don't think she was like, her being cast as Black Widow in Iron Man 2 was what really put her on the map in a lot of ways. Like, she was, indie movie darling.
Yeah, but it seemed like she was definitely on the uptick, at least. And you're not trying to find people on the downtick. You're just trying to find people that are affordable. That's what studios do. They try to find people that they think have untapped star power, are still affordable. Like, they're not hanging something over your head going, look, I've done this. I don't need you. Because that's what they want, especially when you're building a franchise. And that's what DC and Marvel are doing now, is building these huge franchises. You just don't want anyone to be able to hold anything over your head.
What's funny is, like, I haven't seen, what's the guy that plays the Falcon? What's his name? I don't remember his name.
Crap, but, I would know.
I've only seen him in a couple of things other than the Avengers, and maybe I'm just, like, not paying attention, which is very, very plausible. But, I kind of feel like there are so many, like, I haven't seen him in that much. I haven't seen a lot of people in so much. Like, like right when Marvel started blowing up, you just see, like, and the Dark Knight movies and stuff. Like, you saw Aaron Eckhart everywhere.
Yeah, and he was actually kind of neat, because he was both an indie darling at the time, and he was still like this rising A-star potential kind of guy.
Yeah, and now he's disappeared. But importantly, I feel like movie studios, I feel like now it's like, hey, I'm one of the Avengers. And I feel like they're like, who the hell isn't? Everybody's a superhero now. There's a chance they're like, yeah, but I'm an Avenger. Yeah, so is Paul Rudd. What do you want from me? Yeah, Paul Rudd was the one who broke it.
See, I think he's the one who broke it open in a lot of ways, because like Paul Rudd is this very down to earth character in Hollywood, and oh man, for like him to suddenly be like front heading a movie that goes into being an Avenger, it was like, oh my god, every man can make it. Yeah. And it was, again, perfect for that character. Ant-Man is supposed to be an everyman.
Anthony Mackie, that's Falcon's name.
Thank you. That was going to bother me for seriously, as soon as we stopped recording, I was going to look that up.
Yeah. I feel like there's going to be a bit where, like, in, like, 4 or 5 years' time, Anthony Mackie is going to be like, come on, I need a job. I'm perfect for this role. I'm one of the Avengers. And there's going to be, like, a Coach McGurk, H. John Benjamin type of executive, like, so is Weird Al Yankovic.
Go learn how to write music. No, and that happened to Terrence Howard, too. Like, he quit, or he didn't want to take the money he was given. As far as I can remember, he fell off the map for a second, and then suddenly Empire happened, and he's back. But without that, and still, like, I don't know Terrence Howard and the relationship he has with his people, but there are a lot of people who see going from being like a movie star to a TV star as just by rote a step down. Doesn't matter if you went from being a B-list movie actor to an A-plus list TV actor. Some people just still see that as like, oh man, how far you've fallen. So
I think that opinion is way less nowadays. I
think it's definitely yeah. I mean, I agree. I don't think it's as prominent as it once was, and I don't think it should be by any stretch. But I don't know what's going on in his inner circle. If he has like some doubt for himself that like maybe I shouldn't have left that franchise. I could have.
Honestly, I feel like if you're not in a superhero movie, you're better off on TV.
Maybe even superhero. No one's TV. Gonna. You don't know.
No one's gonna go see Noah Baumbach's new indie film. Just get a TV show if you can.
Yeah, that's got to be a fun one that happens this time. Like, oh man, my career is really in the up. It's on the up and up, man. We're really going places. Like, oh, cool. We're at like Sundance or Cannes. Yeah, I was at Comic-Con. I'm gonna make way more money there. It's cool. Don't worry about me.
Yeah. I wonder if Terrence Howard does go to Comic-Con. Like, I'm the roadie that was.
Doesn't part of you, if Terrence Howard ever showed up, want to go up with a slip of paper and say, "Can you please sign this, Anthony Mackie?" Because he was loyal.
No, I don't.
Part of me would want to, just to see the look on his crazy little face. I honestly, I don't say crazy as an indictment in any way of his face. I mean, I've heard in interviews this man question the existence of the number one. That's it.
Yeah, you told me about that.
So,
I like to imagine that he and Shaq are just in a basement trying to figure out, like, he's trying to figure out the existence of the number one, and Shaq is trying to figure out how he can prove that the Earth is flat.
Yeah,
like I feel like
they're all focusing
somehow
on the
like
two
linked
and thinking like, well, 2 is probably where it starts, and Shaq was like 2 dimensions. That's perfect. And no one pointed out that like that would mean we're a plane and that we have no Z value, so we would all be. We can't. Can you jump? Because I'm pretty sure you can jump, Shaq. I think that was part of how you got famous. That means there's a Z. You can go up.
Okay. We need to move on. So there were some there were some reports that
Still dealing with the fact.
Sorry.
I am still imagining Shaq looking at his feet and going like, was it all a lie? Did I ever really jump?
Yep. So, okay, there were reports.
All right, we got to cut it out.
Last week, that Warner Brothers may be considering a theatrical version of Superman Red Son. If you're unfamiliar with the story, it's a fantastic graphic novel by Mark Millar.
Amazing.
Who, where it's an Elseworlds situation where Superman, instead of landing in the U.S., he lands in Soviet Russia and becomes the Superman for the Soviets. And
Superman with a sickle.
It's pretty amazing. With we have Lex Luthor, who is is some sort of a federal agent. He unlocks the secrets of a Green Lantern ship and replicates the Green Lantern ring to create the Green Lantern Marine Corps. It's pretty fantastic.
Amazing version of Hal Jordan in that too. In that little
absolutely. If you haven't read Superman Red Son, I completely recommend finding a copy of that at your earliest convenience. Yeah. And I say that in the most urgent tone possible.
Like you just don't want to destroy your microphone yelling, now, damn you.
Right. But Jordan Vogt Roberts was apparently pitching DC this idea, and they said no. I don't, a lot of people have been wondering, like, would Henry Cavill have played the character? Look, I think that there is room. Personally, I think there is room for Elseworlds titles. I think that at some point Warner Brothers is going to start showing us the multiverse on the big screen. They don't have anywhere else to go. Crisis is a huge deal in the DC universe. They don't have anywhere. They don't have like an Infinity War necessarily to hit up. They have Crisis on Infinite Earths. They have multiple versions of these characters running around doing different things. And I think they absolutely should, if they're going to do, as some have reported in the last few weeks, that they're looking to do 3 or 4 films a year, do 2 DCEU films and do 2 Elseworlds films a year. And then when you have Crisis, you're going to be able to bring in the TV shit. You're going to be able to bring in... You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean it's a glorious idea, but I don't think they'll ever do it.
I think they might do some version of it at some point. But not yet.
I don't think they're going to. I feel like they're trying so hard to prove that this is the version you should be paying attention to, because you got to realize there's still people out there, the average viewer, that their son's 12-year-old Lego enthusiast that loved the Batman movie and wants to go to the new film with Batman in it, that thinks, wasn't Michael Keaton playing him? What's going on?
Look, now,
I know. To us, that sounds insane, but there's a serious percentage of people that not that they can't keep up with the continuity, they don't bother.
Right. No, I completely agree with that. But by the same token, you look at how much money all these movies, the DCEU movies, have made. Wonder Woman notwithstanding, you ignore that movie and you look at the bad reviews for the other movies. there's still a lot of people who went to go see these things. I know personally a lot of people who don't follow comics, but they went to see those movies, and they were like, yeah, I thought they were pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah.
Of course, they were like, I don't understand why Spider-Man wasn't in it. But at the same
yeah, but the part of it is that they, I think, I don't know, a studio on this level is trying to build a franchise such that they want a coherent story. I don't think they're ready yet at all to branch out and have Elseworlds. I think we're years away from that at best, if ever.
Well, yeah. If they greenlit something right now, we'd still be years away from it.
Oh, I mean years away from greenlighting it.
I don't know. I really don't know. Like, personally, I think that they said no to Red Sun not because it was an Elseworlds title, but because it's freaking Red Sun. Like, we haven't had to deal with, like, a Soviet Union situation.
Yeah, I know. I mean, first of all, the union's dissolved. It hasn't been a thing. There's no hammer and sickle anymore to worry about. And I mean, you can't. One of the problems is also you can't. Politically right now, you can't like substitute Russia and vilify them. It's just not going to play with a certain percentage.
Yeah,
it's just not going to work. There are going to be people that betray it outright. So
you have all the stuff with Russia and Trump right now.
Yeah, that's my point. Is like I don't think politically there's any room for it. You're going to put a certain amount of people on the sideline just by doing it. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, if they introduce something else, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I think there's room for an Elseworlds, and I think that they are going to be heading in that direction. I think they might do it through like introducing a new younger Batman. Or maybe even, maybe even that Greg Berlanti Booster Gold movie. Who knows? Who knows what they're going to do? But I do know this. They are, and I've said this before, they are pushing the hell out of that multiverse line of action figures. They are pushing the hell out of the idea of a multiverse on The Flash. If we're talking about The Flash as a movie, they're probably going to be pushing the multiverse. Maybe not even in the second movie, but in the first movie, but the second movie. The multiverse is going to happen in the DCEU. You can deny it all you want. It's going to happen. There's no way they're not going to do this. It's just a matter of when.
They have to hit a certain point where they're sure that everyone's on their side before they're willing to, what do they call it? Stretch the premise or...
Why? They didn't do that for Justice League.
What do you mean?
They're just making shit.
Oh, no. Justice League is just such a guaranteed title that you're going to do it. But you can't pick one of the Elseworld titles because it's literally called an Elseworld. It's a thing that certain people know about. But everybody knows about the Justice League. Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't have to call it Elseworld in the title. They can just,
Well, no, I mean, I'm not saying...
My guess would be like... My guess is they would call it like DC Multiverse, Batman Thrill Killer or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I really hope they get there. And I would like the idea in particular that I would just do two. You just have the continuing universe and you have the alternate universe. And then it would be fun to even do like... If you just ask me right now, hey, how would you do this? I would say, look, use the Flash movie to make a Flashpoint Paradox. You have 5 movies of each continuity where you can play with as many characters as you want, and then you do a Crisis in like 2015. Like 2025.
Yeah.
That would make sense if I got the time wrong on it.
Sure.
But yeah, you could like bring it back and have this little bubble of continuity where you had to keep up with both. You're probably going to make, I don't know, something in the area of $8.5 billion plus or minus.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not profit, but that's what's going to come in. That's maybe your top line. And that's just on the little bubble universe. After the Flash, like Ezra Miller's Flash, like even the first film is where I'd say, let's do this.
Yeah, I say do a bunch
and then come back for Infinite Crisis or how, whatever. You just use the word Crisis. That's all you have to fucking do.
Yeah.
And you can come back and then split it off again, but it would still make sense. Like, but even then, you're asking a lot of a country that largely watches laugh tracks.
I say we do, 1 or 2 DCEU films a year. One like $50 million, $20 million, $50 million Elseworlds bit. and start sewing them together, man. Sew them together. And then you can actually pull from your TV shows. You can pull from all of your TV shows, from Smallville to Supergirl, Arrow, everything. And hopefully they're looking at what the Berlantiverse is doing, because, it's really weird to me, and, I don't mean to jump off on TV right now, but, the fact that they're not they decided not to bring Supergirl into the Arrowverse initially. They're deciding not to bring Black Lightning into the Arrowverse initially. But, I mean, with the Flash, we can obviously jump worlds. Why do you think that is? They're introducing audiences to the concept of the multiverse. It's smart with Jeff Johns, floating around both of these categories.
I've heard Kreisberg say that he kind of laughed the day that Berlanti told him, "We can finally do it. We can finally do the Flash." I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but the point was like he had done Arrow because he loved Arrow, but he knew like I can, if I get this to work, I can incorporate the Flash. And I'm putting words in his mouth, but you got to think maybe part of the reason was he thought, if I get Flash in, I can expand to everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's no limit, and that's great, and that's amazing forward thinking by Berlanti, and very impressive, frankly. But
then again, we're also talking about like Berlanti's probably sitting there going, and if we get far enough, maybe they'll let me deal with the Gimp. And of course, the Gimp is over in the corner jerking off with the leather mask on. But you pull the leather mask off, and it's Jeff Johns,
right?
So, and they've put him in charge of everything now.
Yeah, so. I mean, Berlanti would literally film that universe if you gave him enough footage. If you gave him enough footage in time and just told him you've got 3 channels, they all air original content 24 hours a day. Go. Mm-hmm. There's no such thing as a season break. Go. I think he would try to do it. He might die.
Maybe.
I'd say somewhere inside 6 to 8 months. But he would try.
Yeah. All right. So we're jumping into fan feedback at this point.
Hello.
We have... What? That was weird. Why would you do that?
Just
listener feedback. Fan feedback. Listener feedback. Whatever you want to call it. First up... They do. We have a voicemail from Justin. And we are going to be playing that right now.
Hey guys, my name is Justin. I've been listening to you guys since about the Suicide Squad cast debuted, because that's when I discovered podcasts, and I found you around the same time. I will say that I've enjoyed listening to you guys for these 2 years or so. It's been great. Not to be a prude, but I'm a little glad that you've toned back on some of the swearing. But I love listening to you guys, and you made my workday go by a lot easier. Thank you so much, and keep up the good work.
All right. Thank you, Justin, for writing in. You got anything for Justin?
Voicing in, I guess?
Yeah.
No, I haven't personally noticed, because we do these things, and we rarely have time to go back and listen to like more than what it takes to edit them.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't personally noticed a decline in swearing, but that doesn't matter. I'm glad it's working out for him.
Yeah.
I doubt anyone's out there going, "Why don't they curse more?" I mean, it is a pretty divisive use of language.
Yeah, I've personally tried to I have actually tried to scale back on it, because I find that I get into like this weird mode where I'm just using like curse words as crutches instead of actually thinking. And I don't prefer. I don't like the way I sound.
It can have that effect, yeah.
I don't like the way I sound.
It gets to the point where like where you're just sitting there like, I don't know, fucking. I mean, just fucking. I don't fucking know. Like that's not a sentence. You express nothing.
Yeah.
That's not a
right.
No one learned anything from what you said.
Yeah, which is one of my favorite things is, about that word in particular. I used to have this friend that I hung out with named Chris. And he would curse all the time. Mm-hmm. And I brought him up to Birmingham, and we hung out with Matt Carroll over the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. And he's listening to Chris talk, and Chris finally finishes a sentence. And Chris was like a brilliant writer, but not much in the way of verbal.
Those are different. They express themselves differently.
Yeah. And Matt was just like, dude, you use the F word like a comma.
Some of those characters and people do crack me up the most, though, where like their version of extending a sentence or punctuating or even just their version of is just fluent cussing in a way that like their intonation actually indicates that you know what they're saying. And, like, you don't even notice it unless you think about it. And you're like, oh my god, he just said fuck like 17 times in one paragraph. But I don't even care. Like, I got his point.
Yeah. So, anyway,
always an interesting subject, though. But yeah, I'm glad that's working out for him.
I'm glad you enjoy the show. I'm glad you enjoy the show overall, though. I'm glad that the cursing didn't put you off enough to stop listening to the show.
That is an important part.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, good. Good to hear from the first time. Hopefully, not the last.
Absolutely, man. Keep sending us voicemails. I absolutely don't think you're a prude. I get a mite tired of cursing or hearing cursing on podcasts like constantly myself, which is one of the reasons like I kind of wanted to pull back. And my girlfriend doesn't like cursing. She doesn't like when I curse, and it's all connected. Like, most of my family doesn't like when I curse. So
I mean, yeah, for me, it's something in my personal life I guess actively pull back, but it's not like I put on to talk here. Or anything. In certain groups I will put on or put off. But that's just a matter of I don't know, navigating your social world. You got certain environments. You got to work. You just can't do that all the time at work.
Man.
You learn. My family, same thing. They're not big fans. I pull it back a little bit out of respect for the people who raised me. I personally am 100% neutral. I don't care. I just do not.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. I don't feel any kind of conviction of any sort either way, really. But
I don't. But I've got no real.
Except I do somewhat see it as an because
that is really the only thing is you don't want to use it as an excuse for not knowing what a real word is. That's my only real thing about it. Actually, is I don't want to feel like I've lost vocabulary that we all spend decades learning, just substituting it for crap words that there's 7 of.
Right. I'm actively trying to scale back on cursing and trying to scale back on saying and because I do that a lot. Moving on.
Everyone could probably stand to pull back on those.
Sure.
That's where we are now.
All right. So I won't say back by popular demand, but we received a voicemail right before we recorded.
Was it back by implicit demand?
Back by popular apathy?
Back by consensual apathy.
Consensual? Really?
I mean, a couple people have specifically chimed in and said these are fantastic. A couple people have really enjoyed them, and we've got nothing else. We got nothing else.
A couple of people have said, the first one was better. And there's... I've said like 15 times in the last couple sentences, by the way.
Of course, yeah. We're all learning.
I can't stop it. Anyway.
We're all trying.
Here now is the third voicemail from the old Witter woman.
Hello. Well, I got some DC on my screen. It was, we'd say dog crap, and I got it on my screen. And I was hoping y'all could get it off, because that's the name of this phone call is DCO. Well, we was eating goat spleens today, and I was going to share it with you, but I didn't know how to get in touch with you. I hope you're all right. Well, have you a good one, and I'll talk to you later. And the old widow woman don't have much to say. I don't want to make you sad or nothing, so I hope you have you good, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Goat spleens?
As usual, we don't know what to do with it. I think we're not supposed to. I would bet right now, not even going to try it, I'm so sure, that if I Googled spleen recipe, I can find something.
Yeah, my favorite part was when she cracked herself up and sounded like a guy for a second.
I still can't tell if it is a he or a she we're dealing with.
Really?
I still can't tell.
Because, I swear when she cracked herself up for just, a split second, she sounded like a bored college guy.
Well, that's actually what I heard in the little given the voice, but I'm not sure that that's not actually what's happening. As a Bourne College guy.
And I'm suspicious. I'm suspicious primarily because I put out a blast on social media via Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Which is, by the way, just that part of the sentence is becoming an increasingly bad idea. That can be something that turns on you very fast.
Yeah. I said, hey, we're recording in just a couple hours. Do you guys have any last-minute feedback? And we got some hits. But within that time frame is when we got this voicemail from the Witter Woman. Mm-hmm. So I'm starting to narrow down who this might be.
Just investigation.
Just letting you know. Just letting you know. I'm coming for you, Witter Woman.
Yeah, time to switch Witter accounts.
So we have a review from iTunes from Wobbly Boots, our buddy Nathan, Wobbly Boots 85. The subject line is, I'm Tiny Rick.
It's always endearing. We do love that line.
We do. What can I say about this podcast? If you're looking for a good source for everything DC, then look no further. Their dedication to the DC properties is unparalleled. They cover everything from DCEU news to DC TV news to doing reviews of every show every week. You also get bonus content in the form of talking about the MCU, Fox Marvel, Star Trek, Star Wars, Rick and Morty, Gumby, I'm pretty sure we've never mentioned that one, Gilmore Girls, Matlock, Seventh Heaven, Dora the Explorer, Everybody Loves Raymond, RuPaul's Drag Show, The Andy Griffith Show, along with a cavalcade of random topics. Dave and Jason are the proverbial everyman, and I mean that in the best way possible. Keep up the great work.
That's fantastic. I feel like parts of that were fictional.
Yeah, me too. There were a couple of those that I've never brought in. Like when he sent me...
I think I remember Dora the Explorer at least.
Yeah. He was having a little trouble getting this thing to post, and he sent me a screenshot of it. And I was like, man, I'm pretty sure we've never mentioned RuPaul anything. But now that you mention it, I kind of think RuPaul should have played Storm in the X-Men movies.
Oh, that would have been good. Yeah.
It actually looked like Storm.
Yeah, I get behind that.
And, you can imagine him going, wind, rain, lightning. I can see it. That's if they didn't cast him on, because, gosh, he would have been a great Storm.
Yeah.
But, yeah, dude, thank you. Wobbly Boots, one of our most stalwart listeners, stalwart supporter of the show.
Yeah, I honestly, a lot of that is like, if before we started doing this, as though we were professional enough to do it, if we wrote like a mission statement, a lot of that is like, oh man, I would have put this in there. That's what I would have hoped to do.
Yep. So Travis Langston on Twitter says, what if the dirt rising from Clark's casket was in fact time reversing, like 15 question marks, #runberry run. And I will respond here as I did on Twitter. I'm good with it probably if it doesn't involve Clark flying around the Earth and reversing the rotation of the Earth. I might be good with it, but I really don't want a reset though.
No, it's a fun idea. I just really would prefer the universe moves forward and deals with itself. Mm-hmm. Like I don't want to go back and unkill Zod, Many people would, I know.
Nope.
But
no.
Let's take it to the extreme.
No. Our buddy, longtime listener, maybe our first listener, who knows? He may have literally been the first person who ever clicked on one of our episodes. Chris White wrote in.
That old bastard.
Said, yeah. He says, I love the show. I'm not going to say that I completely hate The Dark Knight Rises. It does have its moments. I agree with that. It does have its moments.
Yeah, sure.
I like that one scene. That said, I really wish people, he says, that said, I really wish people would respect your opinion on not liking it. The idea that one version of Batman is superior over another is ridiculous, as they are all derivative of the boy wonder loving, gun toting, golden age Batman. The dark, brooding, modern master detective that we all know today is a far cry from his initial concept. My point is, no matter what version of Batman you love, we all love Batman and should celebrate that fact. Instead of trying to convince Dave and Jason or anyone else, I'd like to know what you like about Batman. So, Chris White is calling you out, guys. Write into our show and let us know what you like about Batman.
Yeah, and I don't feel like particularly attacked or anything. It just
no, I don't.
And all of our opinions are equally valid and invalid.
Yeah,
that's why they're called opinions. So I get it. You know, we're all gonna come out on different sides of these things.
But the fact that The Dark Knight Rises has a ton of plot holes, that is completely valid because it's true.
I do believe that, but you know, beliefs they can get you. I'm still waiting for evidence that we're wrong about a lot of that.
Yeah. I don't see a lot of people like writing in with like, I don't know.
Here's how to fix all those plot holes we heard you bitch
yeah,
about.
like factual filling for those cavities.
Yeah.
Larry King at Larry King Undead on Twitter, not the Larry King, but a Larry King.
Yeah.
Says I really enjoyed your episode with Weird Medicine. That was Dr. Steve. It was a great episode, I thought.
Had a lot of fun.
I was wondering how you guys would feel if DC made Dr. Manhattan a big bad in a DCEU film. I want that so bad, especially since Snyder did the Watchmen movie. I would totally be down for DC Rebirth within the context of the DCEU. It's going to be a little weird if Billy Crudup is still Flash's dad and Dr. Manhattan. But they don't really have to, like, reference that.
You can CGI that out, too.
Yeah. I would love to see Dr. Manhattan come in and have Watchmen be, like, the secret beginning of the DCEU. That would be fantastic. Yeah. I would be all on board. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who would be like, bullshit! I don't care. You're wrong. It would be amazing. If they did it well, you know.
No, not at all a thing I would object to.
Yeah, the concept is solid.
I think the only thing that would really prevent them is they've bet so much on laying that seed in the books right now that I don't think they would in any way, usurp it on the film.
Well, I don't think it'll be out. Like, for now, like, I think it'll be a while before it comes about.
It would. I just, and also the way that's coming out in the comic books is we've gotten, like, what is it? I think 5 issues that directly dealt with that crossover in a little over a year and a half. No, not quite. I'm a little less than a year and a half. But it has not been completely addressed. I mean, there's definitely not a, they had the Button, the little 4-part series, but it's not like Watchmen versus DC or something. Nothing aggressive like that. And the film would have to be, but just by its nature, it's you couldn't have an idle version of Dr. Manhattan hanging around. I mean, he's...
You know the thing about the Reverse Flash in the comics right now?
Uh-huh.
Where he, like, saw Dr. Manhattan?
I don't,
assumedly?
But yeah, go ahead and tell me. Oh,
you sure?
Yeah, go ahead. I have...
He kind of like pops over and he like dies kind of violently, but before he dies, he's like, "I saw God." It just dies.
Oh yeah, no, I did read that. I was afraid.
Okay, I thought you had. I
was afraid it wasn't going to be a thing, but yeah, I have seen that one.
Yeah, that just got me all kinds of. Anyway, yeah, I would love to see it.
Sure.
Again, Nathan at WildlyBoots85 is on Twitter. Says, "What do you want to see in this upcoming Justice League trailer?" Not too much.
That's exactly how I'd put it. I just want another hype reel. I don't want anything like what happened in the second BVS trailer.
Yeah.
Was it the second?
I say we do
the second one when Doomsday pops down, right?
Yeah, that was. It was.
I don't want that. I don't want a Superman reveal at the end of this film, because I know there's a lot of press about Superman showing up. Well, when I say press, there's a lot of stuff about Superman showing up.
Look, we know Superman is showing up. That's not a spoiler. I absolutely want to see Superman show up in this trailer.
I don't actually want him to show up in the trailer. I just want him to show up in the film, and I don't want to know the context beforehand.
I don't mind the context. I don't care about spoilers, though. So
that would be the most rewarding to me, like in the experience of watching the film. Is I know he's going to be there, but I just like to watch this movie and not know what's coming with at least
not know what's coming.
Yeah, and experience it. And it's not asking a lot for a trailer not to ruin that for me. When you have so much more to work with, you've got they've probably got so many more visual effects going on with. With everything from Apocalypse, with a lot of interactions between the characters. God, they barely toyed with Cyborg and Flash, frankly. Like, they can go back and do a lot of backstory from there. We're just trying to fill 1.5 minutes. It shouldn't be that difficult to do that without ruining the story for me.
I think we're going to get Superman in the next trailer.
I don't want it. The most I would take is actually the dirt rising off his coffin. That would be kind of exciting for me if it was like everything flashed to black at the end of what was otherwise an unconnected trailer, and then flashed to black, and then just like the dirt rising on his coffin again. Like, that would get me kind of excited. But yeah, I don't actually want to see him in action right now.
I think this is not really. I'm not sure that's necessarily what we were. I don't know. I don't know what I want. I don't want to see. I would be good if we just didn't say anything else in a lot of ways. Then again, I'm looking forward to their reworking of what I assume will be a reworking of Hey 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 by Metallica. Is that how this stuff's called? Hey Hey Hey.
I'm sure it's got to be named something different.
Well, one would hope, but
like Hey Hey is an old blues song.
Here I go now. Here I go into. I don't like Metallica too much, but I like a few of their songs in a guilty way, I guess. But
I know I'm not pissing people off, but I don't even really have that. I don't. Never been a thing for me.
It's like I like a few of their singles, but like when I listen to them, I go, I'm a bad person. I shouldn't like Metallica.
It's nothing like that. I've never been intrigued. I've never thought, ooh, I should listen to more. It's always, whatever.
Yeah, I just like a couple of things, I'm ashamed, but yeah. Anyway, I like a lot of different kinds of music. I'm becoming a little more free with that, though. Like I'm not ashamed to admit that I listen to Taylor Swift way too often.
I have copped to that in the past, and it really, I get pinned by people I know as being music elitist, which I don't think is true, but when I actually look at my behaviors and actions, it is.
Yeah, I don't think, like, if you just look at seriously, if you look at what you like, I would say, no, you're not a musical elitist. You like the Beatles, but then, like, your other musical picks involve, like, Stone Temple Pilots. You know what I mean?
I've got a lot of stuff from across the board. There's jazz, there's deep blues, there's I've got some hip hop at least. I do try to get around a little bit, but then there's like what I become is a musical elitist in the sense that when you present me with a new piece of music, I kind of immediately assume it's crap and then work back from that angle.
Yeah, I do that too.
Like the first few like notes have to get me, or I just kind of assume you're full of it and then go back the other way. So
I basically alienated everyone at work because apparently everyone I work with likes Creed.
Well, I don't think that's your fault. I don't think that's your fault at all.
And they were like, well, I mean, we're just stupid. We just, And
in all fairness, I've had years to work on this opinion, and I have become very comfortable in calling all of that crap.
Yeah, me too. I believe I referred to it as 90s douchebag dude bro music. And that didn't go over well.
No,
but
not.
Then again, they were like, well, one guy was like, oh, well, I mean, I listen to, like, corny mainstream stuff. I'm like, oh, dude, like, I was listening to Tay-Tay on the way here.
I got Riri on the play. Well, we're fine.
I totally do. Like, I've been obsessed with Rihanna in the last, like, month. But Love on the Brain has got to be, like, gosh, one of the best songs that's been written in mainstream in the last 15 years.
I didn't feel that strongly about it.
I did.
But short of that little musical journey aside, I just kind of, I don't know. I understand how I get that reputation, but I just...
Yeah, I mean,
I don't feel like it's always earned.
No.
And then sometimes I do have people show me a song, and I'm like, oh, that's not a good... That's overproduced crap. Mm-hmm. And I get the like, oh, what you talking about? I'm like, yeah, just give it like 2 years and you'll agree with me. That's overproduced crap. That is what they call overcooked.
Like, yeah, I'll listen to a little Ariana. Doesn't mean I'm, jumping on board the pop country train yet. My nose is still firmly in the air on that one.
It would be a bad time. There are a lot of people jumping off that one.
It's real bad.
Yeah.
It's real bad. Anyway, did we even answer Nathan's question?
I don't remember.
Oh, I'll tell you what I want to see in the Justice League trailer. I want to see everything. Everything or nothing. I want to see Superman. I want to see that Green Lantern cameo that's been rumored.
I don't want any of that. I really don't want any of that. I just want...
I want everything.
Just tease me a little bit more. Give me like a couple minutes more footage of people we know and interactions we know are going to be there just so I can chew on it. And then just show me the film. But I really... That's like a t-shirt I need to have at this point that just says, just show me the fucking film.
I kind of feel like I need to see a villain of some sort that's not just parademons.
Well, an established villain, which at this point is Steppenwolf. We know he's there.
Yeah,
there are
you kind of need to
interviews
show
with
me.
people.
Yeah, you kind of need to show me Steppenwolf so that the only thing I have in my mind is in that awful toy.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's I can get behind that.
Yeah,
but short of that, like I don't need the reveals of who's here and who's there and who's what and who's revived.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it for the magic of actually sitting down and me paying that much money to sit down in a seat.
Sure.
Probably next to a bunch of strangers.
Oh shit. You know what they should do? They should expand upon that little scene with Lois looking up in the sky and just have her looking up the sky and then show like her like bottom right hand corner looking up from the back of her head and just see Superman all blacked out because of the light behind him floating above it, like just like he was in BVS when the people looked up on the roof, and then just cut it there. Like that's all we get of Superman.
That actually would suit me just fine. Just we know he's back. You saw him. You know he's there, but he doesn't have to be part of this story. And of course he's going to come back and be an integral / leading member of the Justice League and be part of the story going forward. But I mean, you literally buried him, and then you gave me this trailer with a bunch of other people, and that's fine. That's fine. This you have so many characters with so much potential in this story that you should be able to tell that story without Superman happening.
You know what? They should this trailer should just be dark and gritty, and like everything that people have been bitching about Justice League being and like DCEU being, and then like cut to Lois looking up with like no music. And then we cut to Superman flying above her, just like quietly, and they just bring in the doom 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 doom, and then that's it. Like just the hint of the John Williams tune to be like, yeah, the hopeful bastard's back.
Oh, and what I'm going to call the Henry Cavill theme has that full Superman suite from Man of Steel has so much hope in it. If you do it correctly, you could just pull a couple of bars from that, and I'd be fine.
Nah, I think at this point people don't want that Hans Zimmer stuff, man. Like the mainstream needs that Chris Reeves, just a hint of that Chris Reeves stuff. Well, just for a second, just in a trailer,
like that Hans Zimmer stuff.
I agree. I agree. I've gone back. I used to not, but I agree.
But
I think the mainstream needs. I think the mainstream needs John Williams for just a second, for a trailer.
Fair enough.
Just to get amped up. Like, I'm sure they'll do something different.
That would be actually kind of fun. For the trailer, use the bum 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 bum, and then in the film, it's the Hans Zimmer music.
Yeah, for the film, she looks up, it's like boom 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 boom.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm good with either. I've actually since this podcast started.
I think that was the Hans Zimmer thing we just did.
Yeah, no, that's my point.
Okay, sorry. I
in the actual movie.
I thought you said like for the trailer, it'd be like
no, for the trailer you do the John Williams dun 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 dun, dun. Yeah. And then in the movie you do boom 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 boom.
Okay.
I since we started this podcast, if you go back and you look at the our Man of Steel review, I do not like Hans Zimmer. I've purchased soundtracks and have listened to them on repeat, and I really now like it a lot. So I have changed my mind. So I'm sorry.
It's literally been a couple of years, but I'm pretty sure I stood by the actual score for that.
You did.
Even then.
You did.
If I'm wrong, I completely accept it.
No, you're not. You were a defender of it.
Okay, good.
Oh, man. So, moving on, Brent Clark over at the DCTV Squadcast and most recently Fans Without Borders, Brent Clark at BrentTech Prime on Twitter says, see Spider-Man yet? Jason Smith. Stinger review of the new Spider-Man movie? Deej Penhollow. End of the episode review for Spider-Man Homecoming? By the way, Deej Penhollow of the Nerdtalkalypse podcast. Mm-hmm. And so there seems to be a lot of interest in that, and that will have to come next week. Because I have yet to see Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm going to see it on Wednesday with Bethany. And, well, that'll be the end of that. You've seen it, as you mentioned. Yeah, so.
I have.
That's happening.
It will. But here's the one thing I can tell you that's like, I'll call it a preview to our spoiler-free stinger. Once you finally have this in the bag and we can talk about it.
Wait, well, we're going to have a spoiler-filled stinger.
Spoiler-filled stinger. This is something I can say... And it's spoiler-ish, but I'm going to preface it with the reason I feel good about this. Because I mentioned earlier, I watched this movie arm to arm with people just trying to squeeze into the theater. I mean, we might as well have held hands and kept each other's drinks on each other's thighs, you know? And when the opening credits music happened, I laughed and I heard one other person laugh. This theater probably holds... 300 to 400 people. I don't know. I feel good about that. About the 300 or 400 people just doing the quick guesstimation. But there were a lot of people here. There was at least 200 people solid in that theater, and me and one other person went
okay
when the opening credits ran. I won't fully describe why that's the case, but it's not going to be spoilers because if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't.
Okay, all right, but yeah, we'll talk about that in detail in our stinger next week. I don't know how much news is going to be next week, but we will. If there's almost nothing, we'll just there's going to be something, some small thing. But we almost had nothing this week.
Might not be. I mean, it is just before. Like, this is like the end of the year's news cycle for the properties we talk about. You know.
Yeah, but we will. My point is, whatever we have going, we will do a spoiler-filled stinger for a review of Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Oh yeah, minimum.
Next week, this coming up week. But that is all I have for the DCEU episode, and we've still got a DC TV news episode to get to. So, I think I'm going to call it, man.
Yeah, see you then.
Guys, we are DC On Screen. You can find every episode of DC On Screen at dconscreen.com. There were like 2 days. There was like 2 days where the site was not available because I forgot to pay for the domain again. But that's back up and running. So
some minor technical issues.
Yeah, that is back up and running. And we are proud members of the Giant Size Team Up Network. GiantSizeTeamUp.com for all those cool shows over there. MCU Cast, Booze and Phasers, Breaking the Panel, Blazing Defender Report. There's so many.
Yeah, it's really hard to keep track almost.
It is.
Pokemon podcast, for goodness sake.
Yeah, the Pokemon Go podcast. Yeah. But we love you guys so much for listening, and we love getting feedback from you. So keep hitting us up on Twitter and Facebook, DC On Screen. We're on Instagram, and I occasionally post a picture or two over there. Until next time, guys, keep some DC on your screen. Oh, and real quick, I never remember. Oh, I sometimes remember. Sometimes I remember. But I didn't this episode to put it down. But let me find that for you real quick. If you ever want to call in, because we do these voicemails, you can call us at 205-259-6331. That's 205-259-6331. And you, too, can be like the old Witter woman and call us about some kind of weird horse shit.
Yeah, and have
like
some
goat spleen or whatever
DC
it was
on your screen that I guess needs to be exterminated or... Or like Justin, you can call in and we can both relive the experience where about a year ago Dave told me we were doing a podcast.
What?
I was not aware. I thought we were just talking, and turned out he was recording it. It was, we'll get to that.
Did we do that?
No,
Did that happen?
Not at all, thank God. But might as well have been. That's pretty much the origin story of our podcast. Is like, yeah, what if we just... Like, it would actually been a lot more fun for me if, like, when you were living here, you just had privately recorded a lot of our conversations and been, thrown them up on the air.
Yeah.
Probably bad audio, but it would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Actually, we did record a lot of our conversations.
We actually did record a couple of those, but...
Yeah, because we have bad memories.
There's, yeah.
But those are more writing sessions than anything.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's 5:30 in the morning. Maybe we should just record it because information costs nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Keep some DC on your screens.